Hi, it's Rabbi Lewis wishing you an early Shabbat shalom, and I'm going to apologize right now because I'm going to return to one of my favorite topics, and that is the Marx Brothers. All right, you can forgive me. It's close to Hanukkah, so I'm going to atone when we light candles this Sunday. There was a book that came out this last year about Zeppo, who was the youngest of the 5 Marx brothers, and they called him in the book the reluctant Marx brother. And that is because their mom, Minnie, who was managing the act, decided they needed a 4th. And so she basically made it so that Zeppo became part of the act. Now, before they got on film, it is pretty well established that he wasn't less talented than his brothers or less funny, because there's even stories that he was basically a stand-in and he could play any one of the other brothers' roles, whether it was Groucho, Chico, or Harpo. In any one of the shows, he could step right in, and because of the physical appearance being similar and also the value and the quality of his performance, that he was as good, if not better, than the others. And then when it came to the movies, he was always given the least to do. He was the youngest, and he was always given the least amount of funny lines, and always came across, as many critics would say, looking very stiff and out of place in those movies. Yet, the interesting thing about that is, even though he seemed superfluous, as soon as he left the act, that would be after Duck Soup and before they made A Night at the Opera, arguably the movies took a turn for the worse in their comedy and their overall quality. There were a couple, that they made with Irving Thalberg. That was A Night at the Opera and Day at the Races that, people debate. But after that, for sure, when it was just a threesome rather than a foursome as a group, that their movies just were not as good as the earlier ones. So for some inexplicable reason, this is where I'm getting at, the reluctant brother, the one who was seen as dispensable, the one who did not seem to bring a whole lot of extra value to the act, once he was gone, the overall body of work suffered for it. Now, how does this tie into our Torah portion? All right, we got Joseph and his brothers. It's PARASHAT Vayeshev. Joseph is the favored son out of the other 11. He's got one who's younger than him, Benjamin, but basically he shouldn't be entitled to any special treatment. And he's not doing the same work as the others. Basically, Jacob, their dad, sends him out to check on as sort of a supervisor, or, tattletale, if you want to look at it that way, to come back and report on what they're doing. He's not doing the hard hands-on labor that the other ones are doing out in the fields. So the brothers are like, well, we don't like him, we're jealous, he's not serving any real purpose. What if we kill him? Or, thanks to Reuben, what if we save him, throw him in a pit, and then end up selling him away into slavery? And over time, after Joseph disappears, things get worse for them. After losing what turns out to be the most important cog, that one brother who anchored them, that one brother who was given the coat. We don't exactly know why, except for Jacob favored him. This may have been a good reason, but he seems to be that one ingredient to the group that made them successful. And once he was gone, things got worse. And once they were reunited, much later, we're not to that parasha yet, that's a couple weeks now, but things will get better. So even though we don't necessarily know what direct value materially that any one person may bring to us, every person's presence can matter in a way that we may not fully understand. There's synergy, there's chemistry. Maybe somebody's sitting on an idea that they've been too quiet to share, and that may be the one that gets us over the edge and to the point where we need to be. And we don't want to ever let that ingredient disappear, which gives us a challenge because we never know who that's going to be. We don't know who might be that secret ingredient to success. So it's important to focus on drawing people near rather than pushing them away. Even when one seems to be maybe a little too big for their britches and enjoying that special coat a little too much, but focus on bringing people closer so that when we do need that extra little push, that extra little ingredient towards success, it will be there. Anyhow, those are my thoughts on Parashat Vayeshev. Everybody have a Shabbat shalom and a very, very happy Hanukkah full of light and love. Shabbat shalom.